And welcome to another episode of the Dynasty Trades HQ podcast. My name is Michael Cipes. You can find me on Twitter at FFBlitz. And I'm here with my partners, Jeremy Browand.
Yeah, you can find me at DFF_Madman. And Mike, I'm glad you remembered the name of our show. For a second there, it sounded like you may have forgotten it. It's been a while, huh?
Yeah, it's been a whole week. And no, I remembered it. It's just other things were on my mind while I was talking. Kind of like Shane. And Shane Manila.
Oh, good. You said my name, so now I can actually pay attention.
See, like I said.
I'm Shane Manila, and I'm going to go buy a new used car tomorrow, so that's very exciting.
Woo-hoo.
That is exciting.
Well, technically, I'm going to test drive it, but as long as while driving it, it doesn't explode, it's pretty good chance I'm going to buy it.
I like how you call it a new used car,
Because it's new to me, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, well, make sure you take care of y'all's car, y'all's chicken. Take care of your mentals.
Your mentals.
And, get everything situated over there, man, in Philly.
Yeah, that's funny. Do you think, you're obviously mentioning Marshawn Lynch, is that guy going to play again next year?
I don't think so. I don't know. Maybe. I doubt it.
If Chris Carson isn't ready to go to start next season, and Rashad Penny is still, all jacked up from his multiple knee injuries, I could see the Seahawks trying to bring him back.
Yeah.
But more like, hey, it's the third week of camp and all of our running backs are ass. So would you please come back to us?
We need you, Marshawn. Those old guys just won't go away, man. Mm-hmm. Frank Gore, Marshawn Lynch, and they still got it. I mean, they do. I don't know how, after all those years and all those hits and tackles. Unbelievable.
In a touchdown scoring league, where running backs, you get the most points from the scoring. I mean, they put him in at the goal line and he scored a bunch of points the last couple of weeks.
Yeah, that made up for that Super Bowl loss, man.
The other one, when you talk about old guys and you said people just won't go away, I heard today that Larry Fitzgerald said he's playing in 2020.
Signed another one-year deal with the Cardinals.
And he's still fantasy relevant, too.
He was this year. We have actually someone was complaining, saying, "Hey, I made an offer to somebody for Larry, or somebody had Larry Fitzgerald on the block. I made an offer for Larry Fitzgerald, and they decided since he's coming back, they didn't even want to talk to me." It's like, come on, man, that guy's on your trade block, deal with me. But I mean, people love Larry Fitz. I mean, we're going to enjoy one more year of him. I can't believe it, but. Jeez, man, he looks good for his age.
Wide receiver 35. Well, yeah, I mean, he's 36 years old. So literally just getting on the field means you're like, oh, good job, Larry. Good job.
Like you said, wasn't he a wide receiver 3 this year, though? All things
I think he was a low-end wide receiver 3. Yeah, but he was really inconsistent. And someone tweeted at us, not just us, they tagged like 476 other people, which how much I love. I love when people do that. Just, tag everyone.
That's
the president, Mahatma Gandhi.
It seems to happen a lot, though. You're right. It seems to happen a lot. There's a lot of these where the tweet is just filled with a bunch of names, and then there's a second tweet added to it.
Where they attach their actual poll.
Yeah.
So anyway, his tweet,
all your timelines.
His tweet was something to the effect of like, oh, well, how does this affect Andy Isabella, Keyshawn Johnson? He might have said Hakeem Butler, too. And I said, well, if they can't beat out a 36-year-old wide receiver for snaps, then they're not very good anyway. So don't worry about it.
Yeah, Isabella.
Yeah, but he even at his age, he's still good and people love him.
Good. I don't know if good's the word I'd use. He's better than anything the Eagles threw out there. So he's slightly above Greg Ward level right now.
Well, yeah, and then
isn't
maybe
Greg Ward like 5'3" or is it 5'7"? Isn't he short?
No, he's like 5'10", I think.
Oh, okay.
So listen, we do have some news actually, and our news tonight is brought to you by fantasydata.com, and use our promo TradesHQ all in caps when you're signing up for their service. And hey, we have like a couple more coaches again. It seems like every week we have some more news for
coaching
coaches.
Carousel. Yeah, man.
Yeah, well, just I thought these two just specific. Well, I actually added something else about Dick Face, but I don't really care about him. But so Joe Brady, 30 years old, I believe, the LSU passing game coordinator, is now going to be the Carolina Panthers offensive coordinator. Matt Rule hired him today.
People are excited about this one, aren't they, Shane?
Oh, yeah, dude, because everyone's just imagining basically LSU's offense transplanted to the NFL with, Christian McCaffrey and DJ Moore and Curtis Samuel and Ian Thomas next year. Only thing missing from the equation is a quarterback, which from what I understand, is fairly important in football.
I think so.
Yeah, so
that. Especially in Superflex leagues, I hear they're pretty key.
And then Matt Rule still hasn't stated that Cam is the guy next year, but he's only been there a few days. But yes, I was just looking up some of Joe Brady's stats, passing stats for LSU last year. They had 401 yards per game passing, just passing.
It's a huge offense, man.
Yeah. Second in the nation, 3.9 touchdowns per game, and 75.1% completion percentage, first in the nation.
Wow.
It helps, though, when you have, was it Jamar Jefferson? Is that his name? Jamar Chase, right?
Jamar Chase, yeah. Well, yeah, they have.
And Jefferson. I just combined those players, didn't I?
And Moss did a pretty good job there in the end, the end of the season and the playoffs. Randy Moss's son, the tight end.
Oh, yeah.
He really looked pretty good. I'm excited for him. But, I mean, you're right. Joe Brady did a heck of a lot for that offense. I mean, Orgeron was smart in making that happen because I don't think he was going to see this the way this wasn't going to happen. What's that?
That's how you pronounce his name, because I kept pronouncing it as oregano in my head.
Oregano?
Yeah, similarly. Go Tigers.
His main receivers were Jamar Chase and Justin Jefferson. And Justin Jefferson announced for the NFL today. So between him, T. Higgins, Jerry Jeudy, who else we got out there? CD Lamb. This wide receiver class. Who, I'm sorry? Oh, we're not counting Tyler Johnson because just for my buddy Kane, Tyler Johnson might go undrafted, I think. You get invited to the Shrine Bowl, not even the Senior Bowl. Not even the Senior Bowl. Nice. And then you decide you don't want to go to the Shrine Bowl. Wow.
But I do love that receiver. I think he's one of the most talented in this class. But the cool thing about Joe Brady is what he did. I mean, we saw the kid. We saw Burrow. Heisman Trophy winner, all the records that he broke, winning the national championship. And my only point is that Orgeron wasn't going to see that through without Joe Brady. Joe Brady, with the quarterback, with that offense, all that excellence, and now you're taking that to Cam Newton's team. And let's just pretend that Cam Newton's going to be there this year and he's fully healthy for the whole season. Because, he's worth a ton of money, Cam Newton, in a lot of ways. So he's not someone they're just going to cut or anything. So something would have to happen with him. What are they going to do? Trade him to Cincinnati and draft Joe Burrow? But at any rate, let's just pretend Cam Newton's there. What do you guys think this means for Cam Newton, Christian McCaffrey, DJ Moore, Curtis Samuel? What do you think this means, Shane?
Well, Joe Brady. It's going to be difficult for Christian McCaffrey to do any better than he did this year.
That's pretty huge, yeah.
Yeah. So here's RB1. So I don't think there's any room for improvement there.
He's still going to probably do pretty well, I would say.
Yeah. What I liked about Joe Brady. I was reading some of his quotes, and he's talked about, and the same that Matt Rule has talked about, that they fit their schemes around their players, what their players do best. So I'm excited to see what he's going to do in Carolina with DJ Moore. It'd be really exciting to see DJ Moore with like 160 targets. But, DJ Moore and Curtis Samuel are very different wide receivers than what he had in LSU this year, because those dudes are just, big, strong, just different body types. But look, he's got between having, assuming Cam's there, and you've got Christian McCaffrey,
no one's
DJ
gonna
Moore.
Give Cam away that takes on a job for the Carolina Panthers. Like, we don't need this guy. Let's just give him away for, let's just cut him. I mean, something's got to go down. They're probably going to have him.
It's not very likely. And the other thing, too, is that, isn't it this year, there's a lot of quarterbacks that are free agents, after this season. So there's a lot of quarterbacks moving around,
Well, there's at least Andy Dalton,
right?
Who is actually one of my favorite free agents, and I think he's gotten a very bad rap from real football and fantasy football, to be honest with you, dealing with what he dealt with there. But also, there's going to be, I think the Panthers drafted 7. You've got Jacob Eason, Justin Herbert, Jake Fromm, Joe Burrow obviously is 1, Tua Tagovailoa.
Probably going to be gone too. But
one of those guys is going to be there though. So if they really want to, they could end up with a guy like Justin Herbert. So who knows? I mean, it's it's going to be fun to watch. I know that. Like I said, I like that him and Rule. They're more of those guys that are like, look, we're going to scheme our offense around what our best players do best. So I'm excited.
So many things for us to talk about on upcoming shows, man. Even before it happens, like before we learn where Andy Dalton's going to end up, just thinking about where he could go, because I honestly think he would really look good in place of Derek Carr. Seriously, I would rather have Andy Dalton than Derek Carr. And I think that John Gruden would too. But and just interesting stuff in the offseason. I can't wait for those shows when we talk about this stuff.
Yeah,
Derek Carr's dead. I mean, he showed you what he is. He's a games manager, right?
Such a great kid, such a great guy, but just not a fantasy relevant kid and not a great quarterback to lead the Raiders in the future. No way.
He's the perfect, like, your team can be 9-7. Maybe 10-6 in a really good year, but he's never going to be the guy that he's never going to be the reason that a team wins. He's just going to be the reason that a team might not lose, but he's not the reason that
what I see him as, like a guy that grooms a younger quarterback because he does all the right stuff except for, throw great passes and stuff like that. But I mean, like all the other things, the intangibles.
Isn't that the most important part?
Grooming a rookie quarterback later in his career where he's like, no, he's a backup and he accepts that role. I see him being that, positive locker room guy that, you need some decent, capable backups in the NFL that can come off the bench and play football. He's that guy, but yeah, he's just trying not to lose games for you. You're right. That's his M totally.
They could cut him today and save $16 million in cap space.
I didn't know it was that much.
Yeah, but it's not going to happen though.
Who, David Carr?
Yeah.
Derek Carr? No,
David was better, man.
Yeah, so actually, if they release him post June 1st, they can actually save more. They can save $19 million because he's a $21 million cap hit. That's ridiculous. Only 2.5 dead cap if they cut him after June 1st. I mean, if I'm the Raiders, I'm cutting bait with him right now. I'm moving on.
I'd say so, because I think it's something equal for less or better for, not much more. What they've been paying Carr.
What pick do the Raiders have in the draft?
The Raiders have the 12th pick.
The 12th pick.
And yeah, just looking at
Mike.
looking who's out there. Cincinnati needs a quarterback. Washington doesn't. Detroit could decide that, look, Stafford's old, maybe. Who knows? Giants, no, they don't need a quarterback. The Dolphins don't need a quarterback. Oh, I'm sorry.
Wait, Dolphins
you said the Dolphins?
Forget it. They don't need it.
Here in Miami, they keep talking on local radio that they're going to take Tua at 3.
Yeah, and Chargers need a quarterback. The Panthers, who knows? Arizona, no. Jacksonville, maybe. Cleveland, no. Jets, no. Oakland. There's going to be a quarterback there
for them to take. Yeah. Yeah, and when the draft comes around, we've talked about it before, I'm going to be out there, but we decided we're going to do a live show out there. So even though we record on Tuesdays or Wednesdays, that week of the draft, we'll be doing something on Thursday, Friday for everybody to hear. So we got a lot of stuff coming up with the draft and free agency and all these players changing. There was another coaching job that you wanted to talk about with the Bears and how much that's going to help the quarterback over there.
So, John DeFilippo. Yep. He's now the Bears quarterback coach.
There's no L.
I really like that. He was not great at his other jobs, but man, as an offensive coordinator, as a quarterback coach, for sure. I think this is great for Mitch Trubisky. He just doesn't look good. He needs some serious attention. I think Flip's the right guy for that.
Clyde Edwards-Helaire is entering the 2020 draft.
What? Where did that come from?
LSU's running back.
No, I know, but what you were talking about DeFilippo, and then all of a sudden
I was listening, but I'm still scrolling Twitter.
Bears, how?
I know, it was like, but that was, Shane wanted to talk about it. Before we did the show, we were talking about how it's going to help the quarterback and everything.
Yeah, no. I'm just scrolling through Twitter, and I thought people would like to know that
you're excited about Flip becoming the quarterback's coach for, added fantasy goodness, right? For Trubisky, you think that's a good thing for that passing offense? They look like shit at times, man. I mean, that offense was just, I don't know how to describe it. It had its moments, but it was just sorry, man. It was bad.
Yeah. And they hired Bill Lazor as the OC, who I don't feel like looking up his stats right now. But what I'll tell you about
8 though, I mean, that's like the worst 500 team ever.
Yep, and John DeFilippo was the quarterback coach for Carson Wentz in 2017 when Wentz would have won the MVP if he didn't get hurt.
Yeah, it's a damn shame.
Yeah. So, I mean, he's worked, I don't know how much he had to do with that. I'm going to say it had to be at least a little bit, right? It was Wentz's second year in the league. Didn't have an extremely great cast of wide receivers. Sound like a broken record so far in his career.
Well, we know that quarterback coaches are important because Adam Gase is the only thing he ever did besides hold the clipboard for Peyton Manning was be his quarterback's coach. And look where it got him. He's had a head coach gig after head coach gig, never really succeeded anywhere, and he keeps getting them. So clearly, if you're a good quarterback's coach, at some point you get other opportunities. But Flip is good, better than Adam Gase. Thanks.
And real quick, I just wanted to point out, as I must do,
yes,
as I often do, Carson Wentz is f***ing good at football.
Oh, I knew that. I knew that was coming, man. When Carson Wentz is on the show sheet, Shane can say something.
The best is seeing him fight.
I tweeted out
Twitter
yesterday that Carson Wentz was, I believe, top 5 in. He was definitely top 9 in yards, top 5 in touchdowns, and top 5 in interception percentage, top 11 QBR, and top 13, I believe, quarterback rating.
Not to mention that one game that he put the entire team, all 10 other offensive starters on his back and led that team to victory. Wasn't it an overtime win? It was basically all Carson Wentz decision-making and throws. And, I mean, honestly, he looks like a good NFL quarterback. It's just a shame that he never finishes the season, man. I mean, it's a bummer.
Shut your mouth about Carson Wentz.
I was going to say
it makes for all, man. I'm like identifying with your fears.
It makes for interesting.
You know what's going to be awesome
though
is I looked at a couple mocks so far, and the wide receivers mocked to the Eagles have been T. Higgins in the first and Jefferson from LSU.
Who?
And I saw
Henry Ruggs too, man.
I don't
know about the first, but I saw Henry Ruggs mock to him and mock to you guys. And honestly, you need a speedy guy too, but I could see Higgins in your offense.
Yeah, see, I like Higgins because I think he's he's going to be a wide receiver 1. Like he's for an NFL team. I don't know. Yeah, he'll be. I like him a lot too. And then just just sign Robbie Anderson in free agency, and everything's fine. Okay, sorry,
there's
Michael.
Your speed guy. Yeah, cool.
There's and there's a minute on Carson Wentz.
I know, and that's right when you say sorry. No, I was just going to say that all your tweets are very entertaining when anybody tries to say anything about Carson Wentz. It's really funny the responses that you end up sending out.
Yeah, I won't even go there unless we're on the show because I have to enjoy seeing your face and hearing your voice. Like the text. Seeing the text isn't enough.
It is fun seeing the face, and actually, since we were on the air last week, your Browns finally got a coach, right?
Yes, and I am not upset about this. Browns Twitter, Browns fans, I mean, they've been putting up with this shit for 20-some years. First of all, that's just since 1999, right? 20 plus years, 21 seasons, I think it is, of complete and utter failure. Like I've said this before plenty of times. You couldn't try for 20 years to be that bad and succeed at being that bad, but the Browns keep doing it. Because they keep pressing the restart button, right? The reset button. And then there were the 3 years without a team. So seriously, going back to 1996, it's just 1995 was sad enough when they left. But since then, like all that time has gone by and they haven't had a winner, a good team. And they embraced analytics and then they didn't. And then they brought in a GM and then a coach that was over his head. All these silly things that they just can't quite do it. Then they finally bring a guy in who's really buttoned down. A hardworking guy who's been successful, X's and O's on offense, runs a tight ship, and nobody has a bad word to say. He embraces analytics. He's got some really interesting things that he likes to do. That's, he's not Pete Carroll, which is a good thing. He's not stagnant at all. He's willing to change and learn and grow. And then you couple him with Moneyball himself, Paul DePodesta, right?
I thought it was John DePodesta.
Paul, I think.
Yeah, whatever. He's a DePodesta. I'm sure.
Yeah. So you got DePodesta and Stefanski. I can't even keep all those letters straight, but those guys working together. They're bringing in a GM that's going to be where they can have a unified approach to things finally, and the owner finally. Say what you will about him, but he's trying to get a group of guys that have the same mindset. And they have talent to win now. You guys know that. We had a lot of expectations in fantasy this year. Browns fans had those. But they really do have a lot to succeed now. They can't really reset. So the understanding is right now, based on what he said in his press conference, that he's going to keep most of the players, right? The core players. He's not looking to just bring in his own guys, that kind of thing. They're not all going to stay there, but he's going to build upon this core, and hopefully the offense can approximate some of the great stuff that they did in Minnesota. And one of the interesting things is they run a couple of base sets really well. A lot like the Rams do under Sean McVay, and you don't know. You see the look, but you're not sure if it's going to be a run up the middle. You don't know if it's going to be a run off tackle. You don't know if maybe they're going to pass to the receiver this time. It looks the same. They have a few sets like that, and some of the best passes to big plays to Stephon Diggs are based on these simple plays that they might just hand the ball to Nick Chubb, and or they might throw to OBJ, or they might do something with Kareem Hunt. It's going to be really cool to see that they because he's always about keeping the defense off kilter, keeping them on their toes, not knowing what to expect. And so I'm excited. I say that all the time because I'm optimistic, but this time around, I am, for fantasy football, excited about them bringing a little bit of that Minnesota, what worked well, to the Cleveland Browns with the talent that's on this team. I think it has more talent than the Vikings. I definitely do.
Last year in the offseason, a lot of the players, especially like Baker Mayfield, was like on the top of a lot of people's lists and stuff. And then after what happened this year, a lot of it has dropped down. Do you think they're going to spike back up now with this coach?
Yeah, I do. I do. I think Baker Mayfield, you can't give up on that guy yet. Nick Chubb is amazing. He's totally underrated. That's somebody you need to be drafting higher than where he's going, but enjoy the value while it lasts. This is tailor-made for Baker Mayfield. This is a great thing because Stefanski's hands-on. He's going to deal with Baker Mayfield. He's going to coach him up. I mean, look what he did for Kirk Cousins, man. He looked like shit last year. This season, he actually looked like a pretty capable quarterback, except, of course, in big games again on, Monday nights and, away. He did, but he looked really good at times, like better than Kirk Cousins has looked recently. And I see some really good things for Baker Mayfield. I'm sure Stefanski's coming in thinking that he's going to turn this guy into, a champion player. So fantasy-wise, I think that I feel the most optimism for Baker Mayfield, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, we're going to see the guy at the end of not this past season, the season before, that was winning those games, and just some more, what do I want to say, focus and organization and, attention to details. I think we're going to see Baker really take a leap this next season. And, yeah, I'm not selling him anywhere.
Shane, do you agree with that? I was going to say, I remember you had him as your number one guy for a while there.
You might get there, buddy.
Yeah. No, I'm gonna have to move him back. But
Jeremy just spit out his drink.
At least a little bit, right behind Carson Wentz.
I'm gonna have to slide him maybe behind Patrick Mahomes and Lamar Jackson and Carson Wentz and probably Kyler Murray and a few other guys. But I still think. He's still got wide receiver. Yeah, he's even got good wide receivers seasons in him. I still think he's top 10 quarterback potential in him.
Cool.
I do too. Yeah.
Yeah. Freddie Kitchens just, look, some people aren't built to be head coaches. It's a different gig. No. I'm a senior manager in my real world job. And, one of the reasons that you're able to do that is that some people are good at managing people and some people are good at just doing the job. And there's nothing wrong with that. But there are two different skill sets there. Like, you could be the best guy hammering nails into the wall, but that doesn't mean you'd be the best guy managing the guys that could hammer the nails in the wall,
You could buy them hammers maybe, but.
Yeah. Sure.
Well, you can bring a fish to water, but you can't make it swim.
You can't make that horse swim.
Wait, what?
So that's all I got on
fish
that.
To water?
So real quick, I wanted to touch on the topic.
Yeah, and I was going to ask you about that topic because it actually helps for a lot of people, but it also helps us for our HQ listener leagues too. One thing that's going on right now, a lot of leagues have people that are leaving. So when you're in a league where some of the players leave, they end up having dispersal drafts if it's more than one team. Now for us, for our listener leagues, for HQ1 and for HQ2, both of those leagues, we had one person leave in each one of them. So instead of doing a dispersal, we actually did a contest on Twitter, right, guys? And to give away those spots. And Jeremy, you wanted to let people know who got the spot in HQ1?
Yeah, for sure. First of all, we sent a question out. We sent questions on Twitter to make sure, we were talking to our actual listeners, of course. So, the questions were, who is Mike's favorite wide receiver? And of course, the right answer is Mike Evans of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Good choice, good choice. And then what was my, Madman's wide receiver one in 2018, and that's DJ Moore. And so there were two people that actually got that right, and there were two people that got the Mike Evans answers right. We put the names in the hat, and it turns out that the winner for the HQ1 spot, the first draw, was Greg Berthum at Greggles17, gets a team in HQ1, our first league. So we'll reach out to Greg and let him know about that and get it all squared away.
And Shane, who got the HQ2?
And look, this is the same thing I tell my kids too. I don't want HQ2 to think I love it less than I love HQ1,
right?
Just because HQ1 was first.
You have this conversation with your kids?
Yes, and I don't want HQ1 to think.
Can you imagine how
that
would go?
I love HQ1 any less just because he has a brother. Like, I love him equally, just different. They're different. They're good at different things.
Right. Okay.
So for HQ2, which is a 14 team?
Yes.
And we share a team.
Yes.
We share a team.
In two, we share a team, and in one, we each have our own teams. Correct.
Correct. Thank you. It is our good friend Kyle Senra.
Oh.
He won that contest because he answered both questions correctly. He reached out to me and he said, "Hey, did I answer those questions correctly?" And I said, I don't know, because they involve other people.
I know.
I was going to say. Exactly. I was going to ask.
You don't even listen. Clearly, Kyle does listen to the show because he got both of those right. I know Kyle listens. I get it.
But that was funny, though, Jeremy. We talked about it. I wonder if Shane did know the answer to the two questions.
I did know the answer.
I know.
I did know those ones.
I'm just kidding. I know. All right. So he got.
But I don't listen most of the time when you guys start talking.
I know you don't. So he got
trade alert.
Wait,
we got a trade alert.
Oh, okay. So we'll do the trade alert before we start talking about dispersal. Wait, but we have a trade that involves dispersal drafts.
No, we got another trade though. We got a trade in HQ1.
Okay. So then before we go to before we go to the topic about dispersal drafts, let's talk about the trade that happened in HQ1.
All right. On the one side, we have a 2020 112, 2020 113. 2020 213 and the 2020 311.
And let everybody know it's 16-team league. So
it's a 16-team league.
Well, I'm just saying because of 113, and then there's still 3 more picks in the first round before it gets to the second round.
There are 3 more picks because there's 16 teams, and that's how math works.
Yeah, like you really know that.
No, I have no idea how math works. I think it's all dark magic, to be honest with you. On the other side of the trade, we have Mr. DeKalin Metcalf, better known as DK Metcalf.
Uh-huh.
And that's it. That's the whole trade. Okay. So it was the 2020 112, 2020 113, 213, 311 for DK Metcalf.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
big time. I like it.
Yeah, what do you like about it, though, Jeremy? Which part of it do you like?
I like the fact that you're giving up 4 lottery tickets. The 311, meh. The 213, some people aren't going to turn the 213 into anything.
And that's the 29th pick, right?
Yeah. 16 nice. Plus there. He's so happy. If you could see him on video, he's like pumping his hand and everything. Yeah.
Yeah. So, and a 16-teamer that we're talking about, those are really low. I like to think I could turn that into something. I mean, only because I've been very successful in the second round. Seriously. I mean, I've got my guys that hang around. Yeah, the second round's been like baseball's been very, very good to me. The second round's been good to me. But you gave up the 112 and 113. I'm not even worried about that. You're getting a more certain asset for some lottery tickets, and you're trying to turn your team around. You still have a lot of picks, but you're getting a bona fide player to put in your starting lineup. And all the things that you've done recently, this kind of is in tune with that. You've picked up either really good players that are still in their prime, or young players that are, not even peaked yet, peaking when you've traded your picks away. I mean, you acquired them for a reason, right? You're not going to use all of them. So
right.
I like that you turned it into DK Metcalf and not just, some guy.
Yeah, I'll say this too. With the way he does his trades, there was a time where he had, I don't even remember, 16, 17 picks, whatever he said he had at the time.
It was unbelievable,
and even the 12 and 13, he had offered those to me for A.J. Brown. And I had decided that, no, I didn't want those. I'd rather have A.J. Brown. And so this is on a similar vein where you're getting a player that you know can play right now, as opposed to the 13th and the 12th player of, like you say, what could those lottery tickets be? And he can use them now, and he still has a whole bunch of other picks, and he could still turn some of his other things into more picks and get back into the first round again. But in a 16-team league like we have, it is so hard to get a player that you could put right into your lineup. And in this case, he got a player that he can put right into his lineup.
But he doesn't have to wait for the development of, those picks. Another thing I just thought of is that by 112, all the quarterbacks are going to be gone.
No question.
In this 16-teamer, everybody knows better by now. I mean, even the fringe guys are probably going to be disappearing right around the end of that first round. Guys that maybe are good. All the good ones are gone. And so, is he going to be able to get something that could become DK Metcalf? I mean, I don't know. I wouldn't take the chance. I'd rather have Metcalf.
It is interesting when you say that, because I remember last year when we discussed the draft after we had done it. But you're right. Even the fringe quarterbacks that may get a job were drafted in those top rounds in this league because it's so hard to get them, So
and I have so I still have the 1, 2, and the 1, 9.
I was just gonna say you still have 2 first-round picks on top of that.
You didn't even have to get rid of the good picks. That's amazing, Larry. Shame on you. We talked about you like the past 3 shows now. This is the last time, by the way, all year you've met your quota. But no,
but you know what?
That's good that you kept those 2.
Yeah, he was trying.
2 or 1-9. That's awesome.
Definitely trying to get the 1-9 out of me, and I was pretty steadfast. And no, I'm not trading that because at the 1-9 I can still get a quarterback. So
1-9.
But you know what's good about it though for Larry though? Larry won the league, so to win the league and then to be able to move one of his pieces to pick up 2 first-round picks for him, that's good for a team that already won the league. He's got good pieces, so to pick up those 2 picks, he also did another trade in that league. He did a trade with Running Chalk, and he picked up another first-round pick. And
Larry's trying to have a true dynasty and win this back-to-back. So if he repeats this next season, I'm holding both of you personally responsible for that.
Why?
There's no way anybody in this 16-teamer should be able to repeat.
Okay, but I'm not one of the ones who did the trade with him. It's Shane who did it. I didn't do it. But actually the trade that he did with Running Chalk, he offered it to me too for Darius Geis, but I didn't do it. So the trade that he did was he traded Ronald Jones, Darwin Thompson, and a 2021 first, and he got the 116. So if you combine the 2 trades, his trade with Running Chalk and the trade with Shane, he picked up the 112, the 113, and the 116, and players out of his starting lineup would be Ronald Jones and DK Metcalf is what he gave away.
I'm pretending that I care more, but I think my first pick in this draft is like a 4th rounder. So
yeah, me too. Me too. Remember, I traded away most of mine too. But
no, that's not bad at all. Not at all.
No, to pick up 3 first-round picks and win the league, I think that's pretty good. So, all right. What we were going to talk about, though, is different than what we did in these.
You know what? Real quick, I just want to jump on one topic that
okay.
Because it's.
No, go ahead.
And what I've realized, some of the mistakes I've made in my making trades. I don't know why I was going to say personal trades. I don't know who else.
I was going to say, yeah, exactly.
No, my personal show's not long enough for that.
At
one time I smoked crack.
No. Shh, allegedly he did. He did.
Allegedly
he didn't.
Smoked crack.
Yeah,
there was no penis in my mouth. It was all alleged.
God. So you made that conversation way different.
Here's something that people need to do more often. At least I know I do. A lot of times I waver on a price that I'll accept for a player or a trade I want to make.
All right.
So, at one point, talking to myself in my head about the trade for DK, I was like, well, giving up the 1-9 is really not that bad for him. And I started justifying it and talking myself into it. And then I went like, dude, what the f- are you doing? No. Your price is your price. Sometimes you just have to hold firm. Like I have another guy right now in another league that's trying to trade for Juju Smith-Schuster in a dispersal after a dispersal draft we had. And, I said, look, my price is my price. It's 1-4 and Calvin Ridley. If you don't want to meet it, fine, then don't. And, he's coming back with offers like Woods in an early second. Like, no. And then he's kind of telling me why my price is wrong. I don't care if my price is wrong. That's what I'm comfortable with moving him for.
That's your price. My least favorite tactic is when people try to convince me that what I'm asking for is wrong. There are other ways to go about that with trade offers. But yeah, I mean, your price is your price. And thanks for telling me what it is, because that makes it easier for me to make you offers and or move on.
So. Right. And that's my, and I don't even care about, him going, oh, well, he's not worth this because of blah, blah, blah. Like, I don't even care about that. Like,
apparently
what you should do,
he's worth that much to you. Yeah.
And that's exactly, if you have a price that you're set on, don't start compromising, because when you start compromising too much, and I'm saying not like, like a small compromise is one thing. If you're asking for the 105 and someone's offering you the 106, 107, okay, that's a decent compromise.
Yeah, you might want to try to deal in that case, of course.
Right. But if you want the 105 and someone comes back with like the 110, that's not a compromise. That's you bending over and taking it in the ass.
Okay. But there is something else to say about this, though. And there's two things. One, when you said that about somebody telling you why you should do a trade, I just always think that that's ridiculous. Somebody tell you why you should do the trade. I know there was a conversation even in the Patreon chat where people were asking about whether you should look at the trade calculator and show the person why they're wrong in not wanting to do a trade based on what the trade calculator says. And a lot of times you have to know who you're dealing with if you're going to show them something like that, because some people get offended and some people will never even want to deal with you when you show them why they think you're wrong. But with you, Shane, I know personally that I've dealt with you enough over the last couple of years that what you're saying is correct, that's a way to do it. But I have dealt with you where you've had your price. You've asked everybody in the league for what your price is. And then when everybody turns you down, you start to lower your price.
Well, yeah, that's just being smart. I mean, if he really wants to move that player, but he's going to at least soften his stance a little bit, because I think the thing is that what we all realize, and you might be going there, I didn't mean to cut you off, but it's market value, and no two leagues are going to be the same, and it differs across leagues. Someone was telling me, well, market value is this, and this is somebody that knows their stuff about market value. And I had to point out that that's market value, in aggregate, or that's market value, but it's kind of in a vacuum. Every league has a different setup, and every league has its own market. So you have to, by the time Shane gets through everybody and realizes that he's got to soften his stance, he's like, well, this market is different than the other league where I made similar trades. It's just, it's the way it goes. Mike, finish, because I feel like I cut you off, and that's not what I meant to do. You got me all fired up, excited about this, because that's one of my things when people say, oh, I did the trade calculator and it says this. Dude, the trade calculator is not in, HQ1. It's not in, OHFF. It's not in these leagues. The values differ, right? Yeah,
that is one of the things I was going to say, that, yeah, in different leagues, things are different. Yeah, but I don't remember what I was saying to him.
I'm sorry,
that's
buddy.
All right.
I just got me excited about that.
I know.
You know what,
what I was going to say, though, wait, before you get back to the original topic, all I was going to say was that with you, Shane, sometimes when you say hold firm on your price and everything like that, if everybody else doesn't agree with your price, then sometimes you make the adjustment because you know that everybody else is going to do that, unless you feel that that price is what it is and you're not going to do it. And I know with you, sometimes you get it in your head that you want to move somebody. So sometimes you make that adjustment in the price based on you wanting to make a move. I'm just saying that it happens sometimes, I'm
going to stop doing that so much. So that's where I'm at with Juju. Like, I want to move him off this team because it was a dispersal. I need multiple pieces to even compete. So, but Bob Woods, as much as I like Bob, and a late early second, that's not enough for Juju.
Yeah.
No. Look, my team, even if my team is trash for 2 years, Juju will still only be 25, and Robert Woods will be in his late 80s. So I'm fine.
Well, the only other thing that we did have here to talk about was the topic we were going to talk about, and you've actually said the word quite a few times, dispersal drafts. And with a lot of these leagues that we have, there's multiple people that leave, not just one. A lot of times when it's just one, then you don't really do it. But when you have multiple people leave a league, sometimes instead of having people take over the teams, the leagues have a dispersal draft where they stick the players from the 2 teams or 3 teams or 4 teams that have left into a mini draft for the new people that come in. Also, another thing that happens with those leagues too is they give you like a second chance. If you're a team in that league, you can also throw your players into that dispersal draft and be part of that dispersal draft.
Second chance dispersal. Yeah,
right.
Those are great.
So one of the things we were going to say is we were going to talk about what our strategies are if we're in one of those dispersal drafts and what you like to do.
What do you like to do?
Shane's trying to get his mic to come on. That's what all those clicks were.
It was just causing me some issues there. I'm not really sure why.
So obviously every league would be different. It depends on what players are in the dispersal draft. It depends on what you have on your roster, whether you want to throw your stuff in the dispersal draft, And
I'm not making a joke. My only tactic is honestly to look at the players that are in the pool. And I've been in ones that are, rookie picks are included, Devi picks and Devi players, or just Devi players, rookies, a mix of things. And honestly, what I do is I rank. I take it's usually on a spreadsheet. I take the spreadsheet, I make my own, a copy of it. I list the players in order how I value them, and maybe even further break it down. And if there are a lot of players, if it's deep, a deep roster kind of situation, quarterback, running back, wide receiver, and color code it, whatever you want to do, and put it in some kind of an order so what your players are, and then go in with, okay, it's super flex. There's 4 teams that are drafting or 6 teams that are drafting. How likely am I to get 2 quarterbacks inside the first 5 rounds or whatever, 4 rounds? Because it depends. You're limited, right, by the number of quarterbacks. If there's 4 teams and 6 quarterbacks, only a couple teams are going to get 2 quarterbacks. So you really have to go in with strategies. I've actually reached out to both of you during them to make sure my thinking was right. Like, I reached out to Mike before. I'm thinking about getting Ben Roethlisberger, my 3rd quarterback, but I just don't like the depth at running back in this. I'm getting these picks. And so it really is just a matter of ordering it in a way based on the scoring and everything else that sets you up for, as much as possible, the best to worst kind of assets in your opinion, so that you can take that and get as many of your top players. I don't know how to approach it any other way than trying to get the best things that I can get from my team, the best players, the best, most valuable assets. That's it. And nothing more scientific than that.
I agree with you. I think in a way of approaching it, it's kind of like approaching a startup draft. It's just a smaller pool of players that are available. So you still look at the scoring for the league, but the difference is you can also look at all the other teams in the league as well. So you take a look at the teams that aren't in the dispersal, what their teams have, what they have on their rosters, and you can also make some decisions in that draft based on making a trade with somebody that's already in the league. I know that I'm in a league right now where they had a dispersal, and one of the guys that was in the dispersal, he would post in the group chat, hey, I'm getting ready to take, I think it was Nick Chubb at the time. And he's like, anybody out there that wants Chubb, send me some offers right now. And so what he did was he drafted somebody in the dispersal with the intention of moving him to one of the other teams to get
knowing
multiple
full
pieces.
Well somebody wanted him.
Right, exactly.
And even before that, you brought up a great point, that being able to trade into the dispersal is another wrinkle that's really cool, either drafting things to trade or talking to the league. And if you're able to do that, in some leagues you're not, it's closed, but if you're able to trade with teams that are not in the dispersal and they're following along, you can get something more useful to your team just by trading an asset or a pick. Just a pick. Let them take whoever they want, kind of thing. I've only been in one like that where you could trade out to teams that weren't in the dispersal, and that was a lot of fun. And there were some trades. But the strategies around that are just the same. Try to optimize your assets the whole time.
Yeah, and just you have a different wrinkle than a startup in that you get to see what other people have and then make some kind of decisions and strategies based on what other people have. Shane, what were you going to say?
Yeah, buddy, what do you think?
What you guys said is good. Yeah, Mike, you see every once in a while you surprise us because you throw out some strategy there, talking about, hey, don't forget that it's just not the players in the dispersal that you're going to deal with. You can be making picks to deal these players away to the other rosters, because most of the time, most dispersals, the teams are going to be hot trash.
Yeah. Well, I appreciate you saying that I know what I'm talking about. Thank you.
Look, once in a while, I got to say nice things to you.
He's been pretty successful in leagues.
Yeah. So, thank you.
You know what's fun is
what?
So I did that in one league. My team was one of these teams that one quarterback league. I just can't get it right ever. Everything I do is just fucking wrong. And this is the one where. This is the one where I have Juju, and that's why I'm so adamant in this fucking league, because it seems like every time I've compromised a little bit, it's blown up in my face in that league. It's like, hey, let me buy low on AB. Like, oh, guess what? He can go lower, face. You like Corey Davis, do you? You really think he's going to break out this year? Okay. Anyway,
so what is the trade you made
with Corey Davis? And I think we saw that in the not the championship game, but the playoff game this past weekend. We saw why Corey Davis hasn't been good, and it's because Derrick Henry wasn't his quarterback. As soon as he got Derrick Henry at quarterback, he caught a fucking touchdown.
You know, it is so cool. It is so cool.
Not to go off topical too much, but just watching Corey Davis, and I've rooted for that kid, and I've said I've pretty much panned it all off.
Doesn't have a whole thing.
It's not, there's, look, I believe in analytics. I believe in all that stuff. Trust me. But there's just a factor that certain wide receivers and certain athletes have, successful ones.
And data don't score points still.
Data don't score points. So I am going to quote from Data Don't Score Points. But Corey Davis does not have whatever it is. He doesn't have it. There was a play 2 weeks ago along the sidelines that, it would have been a tough catch to make, doesn't make it. And then last week, I forget when, I think it was over the middle, same thing. It would have been a tough play to make, and you just know it's not going to happen. Whereas, guys like you watch Odell Beckham Jr. or Julio Jones, they make those plays. Obviously,
dude, even some of the grinders, honestly, like grinding players like Edelman, guys who work hard and have some skills, but Corey Davis should be better than. They're making catches like that through sheer willpower or something. I don't know.
It is,
but
funny.
They're able to do it.
It is funny because it's amazing how they went in and they beat the Patriots, and then they went in and beat the Ravens. I mean,
dude, honestly, I'm pulling for that team.
I am too. I am too.
My son says that they're going to win it all, not just the AFC Championship game. He's convinced that they're going to win the whole freaking thing. I'm like, I don't know, buddy. He's like, their defense and everything's going right. I'm like, yeah. He's like, Derrick Henry. I don't know. I mean, it's going to be. All I can say is the games have been fun to watch. Most of them, Shane, have been fun to watch. They've been close. Both teams in it. It's been interesting this year. It has.
That's what I wrote on Twitter the other day when they were talking about who's going to win and who's going to go forward. To me, it's been the most fun watching these guys. And, living down here in South Florida, I still think it would be really cool if Tannehill ends up coming to a Super Bowl at the Dolphin Stadium.
Yeah, I think at this point, everyone has pretty much acknowledged that the only problem in Miami was Adam Gase.
Yeah.
I think Adam Gase even knows that now.
Devontae Parker turned in a top 15 wide receiver season. I don't feel like looking it up. It was at least top 15. Ryan Tannehill was the quarterback 2 from the time that he took over behind Lamar Jackson. You have Kenyon Drake goes to Arizona and just tears up shit. Mike Gesicki didn't look like an absolute lost mind.
He actually looked
clueless
like
dude out there.
And you know who else has quietly done pretty good is Kenny Stills over there in Houston too.
You know what? He is Kenny Stills has always been underrated. Actually, when he went to Miami, I expected him to do better than before he went to Miami. He did worse. He had a couple of games. Kenny Stills is great because he is so good at tracking the ball and playing like downfield. Air yards guy. He's really good at that. But the thing about Kenny Stills is he's shifty and he can play inside too. He can play underneath. And I always felt like he's like the most abused guy. People would talk about him like he sucked. I'm like, no, he doesn't. Did you ever watch him in college? This is a talented wide receiver. He goes to Miami and you wouldn't know that. They're like, hey, just run straight down the field and we'll throw it to you. They didn't let him do anything of really, use his dynamics, which I just didn't understand. And then, changes teams, and he's like, hey, it's cool Will Fuller's hurt every game because look at this guy.
Yeah.
We got Kenny Stills now.
So let me think do you think this is a Fugazi move or not, right?
First of all, what's a Fugazi move? I don't know what that means.
Fake bullshit.
Move.
Oh, okay. All right, go ahead.
Like fake. It's bullshit. It's
okay.
It's low class. It's
Yeah.
Lowbrow.
It's faux. It's not real.
It's faux. It's faux pas. It's
Okay.
a faux pas.
I understand.
So someone offered me a trade, and it was he offered me Golden Tate for Austin Eckler. And I immediately turned that down.
I would too. I would much rather have Austin Eckler.
And I countered with Austin Eckler for your fucking 103.
Yeah.
Because I know that's not fair, but it's a lot fairer than Austin Eckler for Golden Tate, right?
Correct. Yes.
So he went ahead and goes, well, this is the same trade you offered me. I looked through my trade transactions and see that I rejected it. I go, when? So he's like, right there in transactions. So I look in transactions. It's from November fucking 12th. Right now, I'm not going to look it up. I'm going to assume that's right when Melvin Gordon came back.
Probably
trying to sell high on Eckler at that point. You know what I mean? But he put together a fucking running back 6 seasons since then. Since that time.
It is funny when somebody says, well, you offered it to me, and then they pull up something from like a long time ago, or without the
context.
Yeah, the context. There you go. That's it. Without the context of why you sent the trade in the first place, I do like the fact that they say it to you like you sent it to me, like so matter of factly, like you sent it yesterday or something,
Yeah, like, dude, what are you doing? Like, and I'm like thinking in my head, like, when did I send this? So, you can go on MFL and you can check your last 30 days. And I'm like, nope, not there. So I checked my last 60 days and I'm like, not there. Let me do Control F on the screen. Maybe I'm just missing his name.
I'm not able to find it. Sure.
Yeah. And it's still not there. And I'm like, all right, I'll check 90. And I'm like, sure enough, November 12th. And I'm like, I don't feel like looking it up. But that's probably roughly around when Melvin Gordon was coming back. Or, I thought either way, Eckler had that's like what, 3 weeks into the season, 4 weeks, half the season, 8 games. I don't fucking know what it was.
November 11th is definitely not 3 weeks into the season.
not unless they were really long weeks. Either way, you can't fucking offer really long trades. You can't offer a trade someone that they offered you 2 months ago, dude. Everything's changed in 2 months.
Exactly. Shit, things change in a couple weeks. But there is one thing you just said about that. I really like that feature in MFL where you could go to the transactions, you could pick the person's name, you could say how many days you want to look, and you could see with a specific owner how many times you've sent an offer, got back, whatever. I do that all the time, and it is pretty interesting to see sometimes, because especially for you, way more than me, Shane, but there'll be people that you've sent offers to and you may not even remember. Like in this case, you don't remember sending it. So you could just put a person's name in there, put a time frame, and then it'll show what offers you sent, what offers were turned down and stuff,
Yeah, I like that feature. Look back at those, and I made 2 bad trades this year. And one of them was freaking horrible, and both of you guys told me to do it. And it was awful. I still won the league. 2 years in a row. One of the Ohio leagues that Tim Torch runs, the original one. I won it 2 years in a row. I ended up winning, but I got rid of Chris Carson and other really good pieces. And I think and it was all because I was loaded at running back, so I was like giving up some stuff, and my return and. I never do this. I don't know what I was drinking that week, but I moved these things for Sammy Watkins. I'm like, what? I look back at the trade. I'm like, oh, wow, I got Chris Carson. I got these pieces. Oh, shit. No, that's the side I sent. I'm like, that's insane. So
Sammy Watkins trades, man. Is absolute fucking trash. Like he's almost cuttable at this point to me. Because you can't succeed. Metrics,
it's unbelievable that he can be so bad.
But you
couldn't succeed in that Los Angeles Rams offense when it was the best offense in the league. Then your quarterback is Patrick Mahomes for the following 2 seasons, and you still can't fucking produce.
You know what's really funny is even during the game this week, Tyreek Hill got nailed, which I was so happy to see him get nailed. But
yeah, me too. I saw that. I was like, don't get up. Yeah,
fuck that guy. But the fact that he got hurt, but then Sammy did get a couple catches after a while, but he was like non-existent. And what's really funny is right now I'm looking at HQ1 because I was looking to do a counter, and where it shows the newest news, the top news that it says based on what you just said It says Sammy Watkins to be a cap casualty for the Chiefs.
Yeah,
so
he's gone.
So when you
talk,
so then you're talking about Buffalo, you're talking about the Rams. Now you're talking about the Chiefs.
Three-team failure.
Yeah, he could potentially be on his fourth team this coming season.
Like, I don't even know how you sell him either. That's the problem. Because what are you going to say? Oh, he's going to a great offense. He just came from the Chiefs. Yeah, but right. Tyreek Hill and Travis Kelce were there. Yeah, but Tyreek
Hill was out.
He was out, and he still didn't produce. Well,
one game only.
Well,
one big game, and that was it.
Yeah,
he was
nothing.
like, hey, this is my coming out party, and then he disappeared.
Oh, my God. It is so funny because I just clicked on his name. In week 1, he scored 55 points. 55.
And I think he scored 100 points for the year.
161. So 161, right. And 55 of them were from week 1.
Yeah, part of it came in 1 week.
Before we finish up, though, we did not talk about the trade that Shane made after the dispersal.
You gave good strategy.
Thank you. And you did a trade. You did a trade.
I did a trade. So, yeah. Oh, but you know what else dispersals are good for?
What?
To fight off the urges for a new startup.
Yeah.
So, I did 2 dispersals this year. One so far, at least. One where the team was absolute dog trash. And that's the one we'll get
after
to
you drafted it?
No. After it's already by my 3rd pick in the dispersal draft, it was already better than my previous team in that league. And then another league where I made it to the 2nd round of the playoffs, but I was like, fuck it, let me just do it anyway because it'll help me. I'm not in love with the team; it's a playoff team, but it'll stop me from joining a startup.
So you're saying the 2 dispersals you're in were leagues that you were already in, but you threw your team into the dispersal.
Yeah, one was a good team, one was a horrible team.
Sure. Okay.
So also, as much as I appreciate it, everyone, please stop DMing me about joining startup leagues because it's very hard to say no, but I have to say no. And if you don't stop DMing me, I'm going to let my wife respond to you. And,
awesome. It is kind of funny. We all 3 of us are getting requests from people to ask to be in leagues, and I've had to say a no to a couple people too. And it was very difficult to be able to pare down what I already had. So yeah, I'm not joining any more new ones except for HQ3. We are doing a 3rd HQ league, and all 3 of us are going to have our own teams in it. And it's going to be it's going to be an auction league, and it's going to be a double copy league. Copy league. So we're going to have 24 teams, and we're going to make some announcements real soon about that. But for me, that's going to be the only league I join this year, So, but before we wrap up, though, you didn't do your trade. Yeah. Tell everybody your trade, and then let's get out of here.
Trade alert. Yeah. So one of the players I drafted in this dispersal was Mr. Marquise Brown. So I traded him after the draft to another team that was in the dispersal. He was a new guy in the league for a 2021 first rounder.
Okay, so first of all, you guys were both in the dispersal. So was that 2021 first round pick available to be picked?
No, it was not.
Okay, so they were given the 2021 picks then, is what you're saying. So then you drafted Marquise Brown and you turned around and traded it for a first. I like that trade. I'm happy with that, definitely.
By all accounts, the 2021 draft is going to be better than the 2020 draft.
We
say anyways.
Yeah, we really didn't talk about some of those players that have decided to go back to college too.
Really, so far it's only been Devontae Smith, wide receiver from somewhere, Bama.
Yeah. And what about Chubba? Yeah, Chubba.
That hurt. Chubba.
Chubba Hubbard, he's going back. Yeah, that's
Kylan Hill. Yeah. Couple other guys, but not. I mean, look, for looking at the class that's coming out, trust me, it could have been a lot worse. Like, there's the top 7 running backs came out.
Yeah, but the thing is when you're in the dispersal and you're trading somebody like Marquise Brown for a first round pick, you're not on the same level as like the DK Metcalf or the AJ Brown or whatever. You've got a player that you traded for a first, and now you could turn around and trade that first with some other picks for a better player, which most likely you will do because you like to package all that stuff and do that.
And this is, well, for this dispersal, I mean, like, first of all, it's 25-man rosters, and I only have 20 men on my team right now.
Oh, wow.
Well, I'm sorry, it's 25 off season, 30 in season. Okay. But there's taxi squads and stuff like that. But, like, by the end of the draft, I was just like, I don't want any of these players. Just no, I'm not doing this anymore. I quit.
Yeah. Well,
but I mean,
about all this is we're going to talk about the players that didn't declare versus the players that did, and start talking about all of our rookies like we do every year. So next week's show, we can dig into analyzing some of that, because we'll know exactly what draft pool our rookie drafts will be pulling from.
Yeah, one thing we did decide, a little housekeeping for our show, is we're going to keep on top of all the NFL deadlines so that we could talk about them on the show, which we kind of left off last year. So, hey, listen, we have a couple things left to say before we go do our Patreon show, which part of it is, Shane, tell everybody about our Patreons.
Our patrons are better than you if you're not a patron. That's the first thing. No, well, I mean, look, I'm not being mean. It's a fact. Everybody tells me, like, the patron chat is lit, awesome, whatever. We're actually going to have to, and we were talking about this last year, we're going to have to actually branch off and create like a start-sit sub chat next year.
Yeah, no, we're going to have to create a couple of things, I think.
Yeah, so I think just keep it streamlined.
Yeah. We do have a lot of things in the works. I know.
But you need to become a patron, bitch. Because I don't know, it's just better. I mean, first of all, it's not just us in there. There's everyone else in there. There's fantasy football analysts. There's regular Joes. There's a couple of our awesome female listeners who largely ignore us, and I don't blame them.
Yeah, wouldn't you?
Yeah, yeah, definitely. But no, I mean, you get the chat, which is worth its money on its own, and then you get the uncensored pod, and then you get the bonus patron episode every week.
Yeah.
And now I'm going to say goodbye, Shane, because I'm going to get a cigarette. And then these two will close it out.
Nice. Well, we'll see you for the patron episode upcoming. I did want to say a couple of things before we sign off. And just to remind everybody that we have the HQ store. And you can find us at dthq.storeenvy, dthq.storenvy.com. All kinds of cool stuff out there, shirts, hats, stickers, and mugs. And I just want to let everyone know that you might want to get some of this stuff now, because we're in the process of coming up with a brand new logo. We'll reveal in the not too distant future, and we're pretty excited about it. So we'll even have some more swag out at the store. And then I wanted to get back to the contest that Mike and I ran, where the answers were Mike Evans and DJ Moore, Mike's favorite player and my number one wide receiver in 2018. There were two listeners of the show who had correct answers. I think it was Mike Evans, and that's at Andrew Hall FF and at JSnake_DFF. That's Andrew Hall and Jacob Vines. Guys we interact with on Twitter all the time, obviously listeners of the show. And just stay tuned, guys, because I just want to let you personally know that you've won something too, even though you didn't win the spots in the orphan leagues, HQ1 and HQ2. We've got something lined up for you. Stay tuned. We'll announce that real soon.
Yeah. And it was fun to throw it out there, and we did only run that contest for 2 days. So it was pretty cool to see some of the responses, and we really appreciate all the support and all the love that you guys give us, and even making the attempt to answer the questions, whether you got them right or not. It was still really great. The other thing too is when you mention about a new logo, we actually have quite a few big changes coming in the next couple of weeks, and we are going to be making the announcement soon of what we're going to be doing, including the logo, including a website, including a couple other things. So
the website, I forgot about that.
Yeah,
that is cool.
It's going to be pretty awesome. So right now we're going to wrap everything up, and we're going to go do a Patreon show after Shane comes back from his cigarette. So I will say this: goodbye. Thank you for listening, and say goodbye, Jeremy.
Say goodbye, Jeremy, and I just want you guys to take care of y'all's chickens and look at your mentals and take care of that.
Goodbye.